Thank you. Mrs. Finkelstein?
First, I believe we must assure that we are operating efficiently with the funding that we have. But to generate additional revenue, we need to explore partnerships with business and community leaders. For example, to have a corporate partnership to establish things like computer labs within our schools, sponsor a classroom, media center, or a playground in their name, modeling this program after successful programs done by hospitals, universities, and other public buildings such as libraries. Corporate matching programs could also help generate additional revenue. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hirsch.
Generating money, unfortunately, has become a priority for our district. We are dependent upon Lansing for our revenue. This is why we need good communication with Lansing. Our representatives know me by sight and name, and having access to our representatives is critical. This is a strong point why we will benefit if I'm reelected. We had partnerships. We had one with the Ford Pass program, but then we're dependent on their continuing to fund it, and when they stop funding it, then where are we left? Secondly, we had created Oakland Early College, which is becoming a revenue source and student retaining source. Many districts wish they had thought of this first. We were thinking outside of the box. The Educational Foundation is the only way since Prop A that our community members can financially give to our district. The West Bloomfield Educational Foundation allows parents or businesses to financially help out the schools in the simplest and easiest way. Mainly, we have to concentrate on Lansing and prevent them from reducing what we already get and try to emphasize that we need more to allow our schools to generate revenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Moy?
Some of the ways that I feel that we may be able to generate revenue, maybe we need to look at renting out some of our facilities, maybe our tennis courts, maybe our baseball field, different things like that, the pool. We might want to join with other schools when we have a higher volume of ordering different things that we want in our district. The more that we have, maybe the cost will be less, things of that nature. Partnership with different industries and companies. We have to think out of the box, and I would love, again, that we need to get input from all stakeholders, because there's great ideas out there, and we can find all kinds of things to do to generate money into our district.
Thank you. For the third question, Ms. Moyer, would you consider having a 4-day school week at the high school level as a cost-saving measure as well as a college preparatory measure? This could be achieved by adding time onto the school day and could enhance community education programs such as ACT prep, AP prep, and other supervised enrichment activities that could be offered at other buildings during their school day.
A 4-day school week would be wonderful for me. I would have loved it. I know that there's been other districts that have tried it. They seem to have, one of the problems they had at the day that the students were not in school, they didn't have much to do, so they kind of got in a little trouble. So those are things we'd have to look at. We'd have to research to make sure we have something for the students to do on the day that they're off. We also have to make sure that we follow the guidelines of the Michigan Department of Education. We have to make sure they have the right amount of days, the right amount of hours, so we have to follow those guidelines. But sure, it's something that we really could research and take a look at.
Thank you. Mr. Reed?
Yes, they tried to do this in Grand Rapids, and it didn't work very well. I'm not in favor of a 4-day school week, although I am a teacher, and it does sound really fun. I think it'd be great, but I'm not in favor of it. The reason I'm not in favor of it is because I think you need to have the ultimate high school experience, and I think you need to be in school 5 days to be able to do all the things that you want to do. I think that there are a lot of fun Fridays around here with homecoming activities and football games and clubs and all those kind of things, and I want to keep those going. So I'm a big believer in the 5-day school day. I also know I've heard ACT prep and I've heard AP prep and things like that. And, really, I want you guys to go back and talk to your counselors and your teachers and your parents. The best AP prep you guys can do and the best ACT prep you guys can do is to take the most challenging curriculum that you can and be in those classrooms with those teachers working really hard every day. So I don't want to have a day that I can't manage well with our kids, and I want my kids in front of strong teachers and great atmospheres and just really loving high school because you only do it once. So I like 5 days.
Thank you. Mrs. Beatty?
Yes. I do think that everything can and should be looked at as an idea. With that said, and I do know that other communities have taken a look at this, but it would have to be analyzed as to the actual cost saving and the educational impact. Studies do show that by the end of a 6-hour day, the ability for the students to retain and process information does go down, so making the day even longer makes the educational process a little bit more difficult. And I'm afraid it would negatively impact on that process. There is, however, and as I said, we should look into it further, but, and don't want to refer to the other, the last candidate said, the pre-AP prep and the ACT prep is extremely important, and I think that should be addressed in the classroom during the school day, but I also think that we should be having prep courses available to the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fayette.
Would you please just give me 2 minutes now? Thank you. There's been quite a bit of research done on this for the last several years, and I don't think that this is something that should be dismissed out of hand, and I'm quite pleased that the students asked for this. And I believe that this is something that gives this district considerable flexibility. And I thank you, students, for having the foresight to ask this. And I'm particularly surprised that this would be dismissed out of hand, particularly since this district just recently embraced the WAY program. The WAY program that wants to hand a laptop and internet access to children with 1.0 grade point averages who are going to have independent study, who are maybe going to have face-to-face contact with a teacher maybe once a week. So meanwhile, those students are rewarded. Meanwhile, students like this who are sitting here tonight, who were engaged, were suggesting that they're not going to be able to retain with a 4-day school week. First of all, not only does it, what it does for the student, and we'll get to the district in a minute, it encourages individual take-home projects, independent work, problem solving, the same time management, which we talked about with the getting up at 5:30 in the morning. Students get to learn at their own pace. They get to use a method of their own choice. They get to absorb new information the way they want to. They get to do internships, which people who are, National Honor Society students like you are, involved in the type of activities that students of this caliber involved are into. In addition, what we found is quite the contrary. I'll take the second minute. Disciplinary incidents are down.
Your extension can only be 1 minute on each question.
This is definitely something that this district needs to look into. Thank you.
Closing, if you feel you need to address anything else, you can
So,
at that
thank
time.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Fayette. Mrs. Finkelstein?
Thank you. I'm going to speak from personal experience because at one point in my career, I made a change from a 5-day work week to a 4-day. I can understand and I know from personal experience that the cost savings can be substantial when you do this. So I absolutely would support exploring this option. However, I want you to understand from personal experience, again, it's not for everybody, and it's not necessarily an easy thing to implement, especially when we just, a couple of questions ago, talked about moving the high school start time a little bit later. So if you think about trying to implement both things, you could technically end up changing your school day from 7:10 to 2:02 that it is now to something on the order of 8 to 4:30, which would have great impact for athletics and jobs and other issues. So I definitely support the concept, but it would take further exploration. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Hirsch?
The short answer is no. Let me explain why. U.S. News and World Report says this would save us money on transportation, custodial, and energy costs, but not on teacher costs. The Professional Teachers Association of Georgia stated the 4-day school week is a very bad idea. Some kids may benefit, but we have to do what is best for all kids. We must do what is best for student achievement, and it is yet to be shown that this improves student achievement. It also may put stress on families that have two working parents that want to be home when the kids come home from school. We have to look at the big picture. And of course, saving money is important, but more important is doing what is best for students and their families. If I have more time, the WAVE program is used to retain kids that won't normally fit into a normal high school schedule, like are medically compromised. Currently, we have 2 kids using the WAVE program. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to remind all the candidates, please refrain from addressing active members and candidates by name. Thank you.